Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, our friend Anuj Puri couldn't make it. Apparently, he is busy in the larger Bharat story today. So, I have been given the responsibility to moderate this session amongst my knowledge partners. So, they've already been introduced to you. So, without really wasting much time, what we're going to do is we're going to ask them some questions which could be relatable to many of you, and then we will have a Q&A for about 8 to 10 minutes, wherein each of you could just raise the hand and ask them a question if to the panelist, and they would respond to those. So you know how India has basically been transitioning from the times the malls have started coming up. It has been a story which will apparently find a place in the history books, which we will see in the future. You know, in the morning, one of our friends was mentioning about Peter Lau, who was the founder of Giordano, who in the early years of 2000 came to India and saw one of the shopping centers to take a position. And after seeing the shopping center, his advice was that probably Giordano is still 20 years away when they can set up a shop in India because the infrastructure was not that good, or he didn't feel that the malls really reverberated with the consumers that he was looking at servicing. So let me ask this question to our dear friend Rajneesh and followed by Harsh Bansalji. You know, what has really been happening? So from early 2000 to now, which is about 20 years away, as Peter Lau had suggested, 2022, how the mall's journey has come up and how have they basically made it into a successful business proposition, not just for the retailers, but also for the consumers to come in and shop around in the malls, which represent a mesmerizing version of integrated shopping centers. So over to you, Rajneesh.
Thank you, Pramod. I think the biggest change in last 20 years which has happened is in the financial modeling of the shopping center development business. If we look at 20 years back, if you have to put up a large infrastructure and compare to an opportunity, because land you can develop anything that you want. So as a developer, you have to compare between an hotel and residential complex, an office complex, or a shopping center. You have to see the stability of the business that you're getting in. And 20 years back, the financial model for retail development would not have been very promising because very small set of retailers with very small presence and their financial stability would bring a higher risk quotient to the development vis-a-vis doing an office where you are leasing it out to an established bank or something. So that has changed because the retail has grown and the retailer size in terms of their number of stores, their balance sheet, their capability to sustain some losses. I remember in 2002, there was a mall developed somewhere between Delhi and Mathura, and when the building was ready, the retailer backed out. Now, that retailer was occupying some 35–40% of the mall, and on that location, there was no alternate use to that building because it was designed for mall. So the risk associated dealing with one or couple of retailers to at least 700–800 retailers in the country, and that has changed. And that simple change has manifestation in many, many ways. So today you can develop a very serious large-scale infrastructure. If we're talking about a million or a million plus square feet mall, and we are looking at 350 plus retailers coming in there with the capability to invest good quality interiors, with the capability to hold on to the gestation period of first 18 months when the mall is picking up and the business starts coming in, and seeing the future that I have to go through this process, it brings a lot of stability. And in last 10 years, what we have seen when this thing has been established and demonstrated, we are seeing institutional money coming into this business. So if you see today between the private equity fund, they could be owning close to 180–190 million square feet of office space. But when it comes to malls, I think all put together, we are less than 10 million square feet being owned by a private equity kind of an serious financial institution. But at least there is a beginning, and we see more and more investment coming into the shopping center retail assets. So these two things have changed drastically, and which is the bottom line of developing and giving us a confidence to develop a larger mall. Is.
So Rajneesh, as the consumption story in the country is leaping forward, what are the things that you're working around for the future malls that you're coming up, which may be having a component of the phygital, the word phygital? How is it relatable to the malls, and how do you foresee that invasion or basically the leap forward in your specific area of business, which is building around shopping centers with a phygital sort of an experience? How do you see that transformation over the years or in the future malls that you're building up in the country?
The way I see is that the consumer is not looking at channel of purchase, but the consumer's expectation of experience on each channel of purchase is different. Now, I can simply give you an example. A few weeks back, my son had his birthday, and all the gifts my wife bought for him was all online. All the gifts that I bought for him was all offline, right? So it's the same family, same consumer, but the need, time allocation, and the expectations are different. When she's ordering, she's very clear, ordering 5-6 pieces, and she's very clear 2 or 3 will go return because either son will not like it or the size will not match. When I went offline, I wanted to browse. I went through at least 6-7 stores, saw what is in fashion, what colors are available, what I can pick for him, and I cross-checked sizes because I don't want to go back to the mall again to change. So expectations, preparation is different. So I don't see phygital. Each retailer has to make each of their channel deliver excellence to the customer experience. And each of these experiences will be different. When Raghav sends a tea to somebody's office, the expectation is different. When I go to Raghav in a Chaayos store, my expectation is different. Customer may be same, product may be same. So the excellence in delivering experience through each channel has to sharpen. And hence, it doesn't impact my mall business so much because my mall business is a channel and I have to drive excellence in my business to deliver that experience. What we are seeing is that the customer who wants to buy a product, transactional, will buy online. The guy who is coming out is wanting some engagement, some experience. Certain is a third place. I want to go out today. That's the requirement. And the social space aspect of shopping centers will develop far more sharply. The shopping centers that I am designing today, I am more worried about retaining trees in the plot. I am more worried about creating plazas where customer can sit out. I am more worried about the corridor space, the visual spaces, and I'm not so worried about juicing out every square inch of the rent-making space out of it. Because if I create a good infrastructure, if I deliver excellence in shopping experience, and if customer comes in, maybe with 10% less selling space, I will get 20% more revenue because my retailer partner will sell more. So the vision is changing. The customer experience is taking far more center stage than it ever had.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Hershey, you have been creating these centers of excellence, especially in the northern part of the country, Delhi, NCR, and now in Punjab, wherein, you're creating these retail centers of excellence. How do you foresee the future of malls that you're building up being different from the ones that you have created? And at no point I'm suggesting your malls are one of the best malls in the country. How are you basically going to progress to the next orbit, wherein your malls now specify a story which is different from what we see in the malls today? Just to give a cue, what is really happening in homes, what is really happening in stores outside the country is that augmented reality and virtual reality is taking a position amongst the centers wherein you are able to rechristen the environment which is in and around you to be more immersive, far more immersive than what it used to be for an average shopper, which is bringing him back again and again. Is there something on those lines that, Unity Group is working around in the malls that they're creating for the future?
Of course, we have to. If we have to survive, we have to create things for the future. Your first question was regarding the 20 years back experience. I will add a few lines on that also. 20 years back, when we developed our earlier mall, we called them Generation 1 Mall. Now we call Generation 2 Mall. That time, you can say the mall was a strata sol system. The developer was not aware, or developer was not, you can say, enough intelligent or knowledge aware, knowing. And everybody was interested to sell the, you can say, space and then to lease out on the basis of the investor, or leasing out on the behalf of the investor. But sooner or later we realized that that's not the right way. As Mr. Peter Law, 20 years back, told, he was actually absolutely right. Ansal Plaza, you know, is, after 20 years is nothing now. Everything has been sold out, and now there are only wine shops and maybe some spa. So now you can say the mall which we are developing, or our colleagues are developing, are far better. You can say more well designed, and most of them are now coming on the, you can say, lease model only. And thanks to these BOT projects, you can say, where you can't sell the mall, that's for guarantee that it has to survive. Because in the BOT, you can say you can't sell it. So you have to survive the malls. So most of the malls now coming are on lease model. Secondly, the basic things have changed. As Rajesh rightly said, the infrastructure is changed now. 20 years back, escalator was a marketing selling point in the mall. We have escalator, we have elevator, we have enough parking. Now nobody talks about escalator or elevator or something like that. So things have changed drastically. Post-pandemic, it's a big change now. Things, pandemic came, pandemic gone, but people have learned that hygiene is required now. You have to create malls which are better hygiene. You have to create something which are, you can say, more practical, more better. Then digitally, you have to develop your mall digital friendly also. Good infrastructure, as Rajneesh rightly said, good corridors, and not juicing every square inches, good bathrooms, good VM space, good air conditioning. And now we are coming up with the, you can say, air conditioning which is environment friendly also. Our new malls, which are, the AQI level will always be less than 100. It's a new thing to the, you can say, learning. Because in Delhi particular, 3 to 4 months are where the pollution is at high level, and AQI level is 400 and 500. And you don't like to go out when the AQI level is so high. I think Rajneesh ji is rightly requesting, Pramod ji, you can please come, if it will be great. Okay. Because आपका जो प्रताप है ना, सूर्य का जो प्रकाश की तरह है, थोड़ा नजदीक होंगे तो हमें और जोश प्रेरणा रहेगी. So basically, AQI level 100, now it's a requirement, because if you have 3 to 4 months, AQI level is 400, 500, people don't like to go out. But if your mall is giving you AQI level less than 100, you will love to go to the mall. You will say to your children, okay, let us spend an hour more. And maybe they are not coming for shopping. They want to live with their child in an environment which is environment friendly. Your AQI level is less than 100. So it's by chance they will, you can shop there also. When you are spending time in some place where shopping is there, of course the shopping will happen. Secondly, now there are many more things digitally also that we have to be, you can say, the shops should be easily accessible, easily, you can reach to the, your required shopping. So there are many, many changes now. And above all, the mall has to be flexible, which we have learned. Now, after Corona, there are few categories which are doing very good business, like athleisure is doing good, like F&B is doing very good, sports is doing good, CDIT is doing good. So your mall should be flexible enough to convert your one anchor into another anchor, or one category into another category, or one, you can say, format into another format. So that's the basic things. And now people, the new malls, which we are considering now, these are the few factors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now, you know, we have Vineet, followed by the Chai King of India, which is Raghav. And then we have Rajesh from Lacoste. Very simple, basic question. You being all of you being enablers to the consumption story in India, how do you foresee the phygital invasion or the word phygital, representing a change for you, the way you are selling it to the consumer or the way the consumer is consuming the product? From the infrastructure perspective, we understand a lot of things which Rajneesh and Hershey mentioned are being taken care of in terms of the right infrastructure, wherein, it facilitates all the three modes, which is a takeaway, a delivery, and in-store shopping. How are you foreseeing this word phygital being representative to you and your brand, say in the next 5 years?
Thank you, Pramod. I think I'll start with saying something to Rajneesh. When he went to shopping, his biggest worry was that he does not want to return back to the store to return or exchange. So he does not need to do it now in any space. He can buy offline and he can call up the helpline or go online and ask for a return to be picked from home also. So I think I think that walls have been broken. So you can shop anywhere, return anywhere. So that worry from a consumer perspective is completely changed. And the consumer expectation today is that they need not worry where they're picking up the stock sales from. Whether they're buying online or offline, they want conversion everywhere. So if I bought online, I can return offline. If I bought offline, I want to return online. Because time has become a big essence. And I think in today's space, especially in major cities with the traffic situation, people want ease. So I think when I'm next to the shopping mall, I want an experience while shopping. While return, I don't want an experience. I just want transaction to happen completed. So I think that transactions have moved online and experiences have moved offline. And I think during COVID, this was a big discussion that now that consumer is used to buying online, they're not going to return back to the stores and stores should shrink. I think we've all been proven wrong. Consumers want more experience, much more than what we were seeing before COVID also. While I think there is no physical boundary, consumers are exploring in multiple spaces. So they are exploring online, they are exploring on social media, they are exploring on digital, they are also exploring on the store. But it's need not that the transaction will be completed there and then. So the exploration has become different and consumption has become different. What I foresee from next few years from now, I think more experience consumers will demand more experience both sides of the space. Today, a customer who comes online, we are able to tell that person, you bought this last time, why don't you buy this next time, because it's a complementary product or a separate product. This is your buying behavior, so I will only show you a curation of product, which currently I'm not able to do offline. But I think that line will also break. Very soon, you will see that, if you're walking into a store, there will be technology available where my guy can tell you that this is what you buy, or this is what you browsed on the store, or you left in the cart, why don't you look at it now? Because for me, that converting that customer will be much higher because it's already tried to look at the product line. So I think that's going to change in the physical space. Some people will do it on their own. Some people will still want assisted purchase. So I think that's going to be a next way of us to look at how do we define the stores? How do we design the stores? How do we define consumer journey in the store? And I think that has not changed for a while for majority of us as brands. And I think from our perspective and a couple of brands that we operate, we are already re-looking at that journey. I'll give you an example of, which is basic example. Till yesterday, the invoice you would get is a dumb invoice, right? It's just an invoice, and no one keeps it. Now you can get a digital invoice through which I can actually ensure that the shopping journey continues. So I think things are converging. Technology is a big enabler, and I think everyone is trying to adapt, which is good, because the consumer is changing faster than our thought process also. So I think that's what I foresee from the next few years, that consumers will explore at one point and they will buy at another point. But the journey needs to be fully smoothened up for them. They don't need to call the call center or something. The next part, I think, is what we saw in China with WeChat. I think that's going to happen with WhatsApp commerce. It's still early stages, but I think that's happening. As we speak, our customers from our brands can shop on WhatsApp completely. So they don't need to even go to a store or call a guy or say, they can get what they want and even get connected to a fashion consultant in the store if they want to physically see the product. So I think this convergence is the next big change that is going to happen. across the value chain, whether it's, well, we sell a tea or we sell fashion or we sell digital tomorrow. I'll give you an example. During the pandemic, I was at my parents' place and they wanted to buy a refrigerator. And it was so easy to go to a Chroma, and I really liked what they did, and call from that. And the lady had an iPad and she showed me the whole showroom. So I think that they used maybe an iPad, but maybe the technology is going to emerge far further that you don't need that agent also tomorrow. You could actually see the store virtually.
Great insights. So, Rajesh, over to you. You know, with what Vineet suggested, effectively, I can assume that you know, we have now infinite stores of retail, because whatever are the number of mobiles is the number of stores that you have. So technically, that barrier of having a physical store for a consumer to buy has gone. What different are you doing in your experience centers, or so to suggest your center of excellence, which I presume would be the, you know, the retail stores, because they'll be your center of excellence, the place where a consumer can touch, feel the product that you know, that he's looking at buying. And the consumer has that need, man being a social animal and no gender bias around that, you know, he needs to touch, he needs to feel, and that is what really happens in a physical store. And physical store, you know, operates in a fashion wherein it can give that experience to the consumer. What different is Lacoste or brands in the same, you know, arena doing such that it is more immersive or a more experiential thing for the consumer to come back again and again to the place? While I understand the returns can happen online, which is a great story, you know, buy in the store and return online or change online. It's a great story which will unfold. There has to be something more that you must be planning in your stores, which will get your consumers back again and again and again, because physical stores is an inventory that you create. And these centers of excellence, or, you know, the temples of excellence, have to represent more to the consumer than just the online commerce which is happening.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, Pramod, to understand this question, I think first we need to understand the customer journey, how the customers have been evolving over the past few years especially. Now, if we see, India as a country offers vast opportunities. There is, if I were to segregate the customers into 2-3 buckets, then I would say there is an elite class and there is an aspirational class. Elite class doesn't mind paying a little extra if they get the right kind of quality, a good, better quality, and the value for money. They get influenced by the quality of the product, the innovation, the experience around this. On the other hand, we have an aspirational class, which is also millennials who are coming up now. They get more influenced by social media or to trade up what they are already consuming. Now, this is a classic example where the technology and the experience is driving the consumer's thought process and the consumer's journey itself. It's typically like, if I give you a parallel example, let's say before 1995, nobody knew about the mobiles, etc. in the country, and nobody aspired for it. But the moment mobile phones started making entry into the country, now today, I don't think there is anybody who can live without the mobile phone. Similarly, in retail, if we see, in the last few years, the technology has developed so much that has changed the consumer's journey itself. Now, even when they, to answer your question, now coming back to your question, even if the customer goes to the physical stores, they have already researched about the product and the brand that they want to buy. They already know what they're expecting. So once they go to the physical stores, they expect that apart from the product and the brand, they should get the complete experience and a frictionless experience. It should not happen that they're going to the store and they don't get the same experience that they're getting online. So in fact, when they go to an offline store, they expect more than the online also. So they want experience and they want ease and convenience also. This kind of a behavior is changing the retailer's thought completely. Now, retailers earlier, unfortunately, before online came into India, we were not so receptive to the technological changes. One good thing that technology or the online platform has done into India is that has changed the complete thought process of the retailers. Now we are more receptive to change. We know that there is nothing called permanent in retail. The things have to keep on changing. However, having said that, there are certain things which have remained the pillars of all the retailers and the brands, which are right product at the right time, at the right price, etc. But things that have got added now is the frictionless experience, the speed at which the things are changing. Currently, we are talking about online, offline, omni-channel. Those things are already given. They are almost passé now. The next thing that I see, which will bring the customers into stores and will provide great opportunity, is metaverse. It might take time. It might be, let's say, 3-4 years from now. But that is going to completely change the experience of the customer in the online as well as offline place. And that's where the driving force will come from the supply side. Now, if you look at the demand side, demand is coming from all across, whether it is the big cities or the smaller cities, tier 2 towns, etc. To give you an example, just till about 2 years ago, from our website, if we were to see that which are the top markets from where we are getting the sale, these tier 2 or tier 3 cities were not even figuring into the top 20. But today we see that though they have not reached the top 10, but at least they're falling into 11th or the 12th highest city from where we are getting the demand. This has driven us to make the changes suitably so that we are able to cater to that customer also, and that customer should get a frictionless experience. Innovation is an extremely important part of all the supply side, and when I say innovation, it consists of mainly two things. One is innovation of the product, the kind of product that you're bringing in, whether they are responsible product. That's a new thing that's coming globally and it's catching on very fast in India also. That the customers not only look for the products, they also look whether the brands are responsible, socially responsible. ESG is a very big thing that's catching on very fast throughout the world and in India also. That is driving us to give more innovative products. Second is technology. Technology and innovation, when they're combined together and coupled with the right kind of distribution, where you have to be omni-channel, not only online or offline, it has to be omni-channel and multi-channel where your customer is present. That is driving the entire retail chain, and that's driving all of us retailers to take the shopping experience to next level.
Thanks, Rajesh. It was really interesting to get the thoughts. Now, Raghav, chai, which is something as basic and represents the mass profile of the country. When you have nothing to do, you have a chai. When you're too busy, you have a chai. When you get up, you have a chai. When you're going off to sleep, you have a chai. So technically, you represent something which is a part of our daily lives, and you made a brand out of it, and a brand which has been having a phenomenal story. What we are interested to know from you is how are you changing in this fast-paced world, wherein the new Chaayos which you're going to represent for the future next are different from what you're doing today. In no way are we suggesting what you're doing today is something which is falling behind, but you definitely must be having certain strategies that what does happen in the future when technically, you are basically looking at Chaayos, and we can look at that drone which is taking the pics of us. So that is what is really happening in the conference world. So there must be something that must be happening in the Chaayos world which is taking it to the future next.
So thanks, Pramod. I think important to first understand that who is the customer and what are the customer trends today. So India as a country today is a country of aspirers. As a nation, we are working harder than ever, and we are partying harder than ever, and we are indulging harder than ever, right? The second thing is that there's also a great deal of pride today in being associated with India for Indians. If I talk about 20 years back, it was always about, what is that Western trend? It was all about coffee. It was all about pizzas. It was all about Americana. Today, Indians are proud to be from India. Indians are proud to be exploring regional trends. It's cool to go to a chai place. It's cool to say that yes, I'm a chai drinker. So those are the kind of trends that are actually shaping the behavior of categories such as ours. The behavior of categories such as say a Fab India, right? For us, one of the key trends we see shaping up is what everybody has spoken about. Convenience is the name of the game today. When I talk about convenience, there's a very nice line that Coke developed. It's called arm's length of desire. If I'm present at arm's length of desire, then the consumer will come and consume me. And very true for chai. Nobody gets into a car and drives 30 minutes to get a cup of chai. जहाँ पे चाय चाहिए वहाँ पे अच्छी चाय मिल जानी चाहिए. And for us, that's why that density and being present in those right locations is the name of the game. Chai delivery is something which we started as an office use case, and today 80% of our orders come from homes. So people are now preferring कि यार app पे order कर लेते हैं चाय, rather than going to the chula and making that cup of chai. So that's a sea change of you know how, and again connecting with that first point that people are working harder than ever. They want that convenience and they want that instant gratification. So that's how it's going to change. It's going to be all about how can you be more available? How can you be there? How can you be present? How can you service the customer faster and give that consistent experience every time?
So great insights, you know, how the story is unwinding and how the story of Chaayos from Chula to the lip is unwinding in the fast changing Bharat that we see. You know, we would leave the session open for any Q&As to the participants out here. So, you know, over to you guys to ask question to our knowledgeable partners. I believe there is no questions coming up. Yeah, so the F&B industry is reasonably doing well. So it was a short session. I believe it represented something to some of you and nothing to some of you.
I have one question to you, Pramod. Quickly, so after Corona, lots of changes have happened to multiplex business. And you are the worst, you can say, hit business in the category. Now things are coming back. So what's your strategy now? Are you still in the race of number of screen? Like we had 2 years, 3 years back, that more number of screen, better cinema or superplex or something like that. Or you are now in the race of good cinema, or maybe the number of screen less, but hybrid, maybe good experience, maybe reducing the number of screen, but good you can say good cinema. What's your strategy? So in the race of number of screen or good cinema?
So, you know, COVID was a very difficult time, and during the COVID times, multiple times, most of us who were in the cinema business did think that, you know, we were the first to close down and probably may not open up again also as well. So that fear was lurking large on our heads that whether we will ever open again also or not. But what it really taught us during this adverse time was that we were living in a Bharat economy instead of the international economy, and that really helped us. When I say about the Bharat economy, we have consumers from very, very diverse geographies, and each of these geographies represents a language today. It represents a culture today. Films are coming in from different geographies, different cultures, and getting consumed in all geographies. So what a film like Pushpa was only representative in the south, today represents India. Similarly, a KGF, which represents India today, does not represent one part of the geography of India. So those geographical barriers have basically, got shattered. People are consuming good content in a cinema, whether it is made in one geography or the other. So that Bharat side of the things is saving us because these consumers are representative of the Indian profile. So, while I would not say Hollywood films are not, they're great, great films in Hollywood. But what's really happening is Indians are consuming Indian content more than that they consume the international content, and which makes the difference. What we are working around is that more such good content starts coming to the screens, and the Indians end up getting a flavor of all this content over the screens next to them. Answering your question in terms of good screens. So, personally, I have always been an ardent fan of doing great infrastructure for cinemas or doing great screens, because my belief is very, very clear. If it is in India and if I'm an Indian, I'm going to look up on my fellow Indians and going to give them something that they cannot experience in their small screen residential home theater systems. However large you make it, for a cinema, it will always remain a small little screen in your residential home. So how do I make that experience far, far more immersive? Going on that platform, what we have done is we have enabled our cinemas with technology which is going to be the future of cinemas. When I spoke about augmented reality or virtual realities, the cinemas can change their avatar of in the film that you're watching. You know, let's say if you're watching a Titanic, the whole cinema can actually look like a Titanic as if you're sitting in an ocean and watching a film. Now, that experience cannot come in a home screen. It's not possible. Or even if it can come, it can only come to the far and few who are living, in palatial houses. Similarly, the introduction of OMA, which is about creating multiple box in a single screen. What used to be a cinema which was only available to the rich and the famous, or the boxes which used to represent the rich and the famous across the world having their own personal boxes in stadiums, can now be watched in a cinema wherein a family or a group of friends or an individual and his girlfriend or his wife can actually book a box which is very, very private to them, yet it is a part of a larger cinema. So, these concepts, more immersive cinemas, more cinemas which are more closer to you, and then watching good content over a very large screen in an immersive environment is what is really changing fast, and we are trying to imbibe that thing for India. And my belief is that India is now, at least in our side of the industry, which is the cinema industry, it must be the number one or the number two in terms of the infrastructure that we are creating for the cinemas. I don't believe there are better cinemas than India anywhere in the world. I've seen the cinemas across the world, and I can in all humility, I can say, India has made cinemas which no one else has made in the world. They are probably the best cinemas that you can create anywhere in the world. That is the reasons the cinemas have been not only able to survive, they've been able to thrive in this country. And the future is going to be in that direction itself, that they are going to thrive into the country, because, that social side of humans is going to bring them to come out of home and experience cinemas in more immersive environment. Sorry, I've been told time out, so I would not speak more.